When you look at, I guess, why this re-election matters is that it maybe doesn't have the drama of the French elections, but Angela Merkel is probably the linchpin when it comes to European politics. She deals with Brexit. She's also the voice on immigration, but also Russia and the U.S.
Yes, you know, this election is not very suspenseful. It seems very likely that Angela Merkel should easily get a fourth term as Chancellor of Germany. The question, the nail-biting question, happens after the election. It really depends on what kind of coalition she builds. And because the political system is so fragmented here in Germany, there's not a lot of maneuvering for her.
What is Angela Merkel's weak spot? Is it definitely the far-right party AfD, and how will she deal with them?
That's correct. You know, Franz Josef Strauss once warned the CDU and CSU bloc, the conservative bloc, never to allow a party to the right of this conservative bloc emerge. And for the first time since about 1949, the German Bundestag will see the emergence of a right-wing populist party in the Bundestag.
Sudha, Willy Brandt gave us the German Marshall Fund as a gift from the German people in the 70s. I'm going to assume that Willy Brandt didn't see the immigration debate that Angela Merkel is living right now. Tell us about, I love this phrase you have, immigration integration. How is that playing in the German press?
Yes, I mean, this is sort of the hottest issue on the campaign trail, but the irony is that nobody is talking about it because all the political mainstream parties were in agreement that Germany should open the doors to migrants in 2015. Now, this has also given rise to the far-right party, the AfD. Your colleague Francine mentioned it. And I do think that Angela Merkel is going to have to come to terms with this decision that she made, which she thinks will be for the good of Germany. And if she does do it, she's going to have to focus a lot of resources on onboarding the migrants that have come to Germany, over 1 million in the last 2 years.
But sort of very critically, how will that affect turnout in that the #1 issue is not being spoken of, and yet the people are aware of it? What will that do for turnout this weekend?
So there will be people that, you know, a lot of people are still undecided. I read a poll this morning. The Forza Institute said 1/4 of people are still undecided. So people may not turn out, or there will be a high turnout for the AfD party, which has also turned into a protest party because of the governing coalition, the grand coalition of the two major parties. People feel like they don't have an alternative.
Sada, our guest host, John Sedinsky, also has a question for you. John.
So now, I was curious, obviously, if someone acquires more than 5% of the vote in the election on Sunday, they are allowed to have to be seated in the Bundestag. I've also read a number of different polls suggesting that the AfD could get as much as between 10 and 15% of the vote. What is your view of how this could evolve, and what will the impact be on any coalition that's formed, and what role will the AfD play going forward in terms of policy?
So the AfD, you're correct. They are predicted to get double digits and pass the 5% threshold to gain seats in the Bundestag. Now, all the mainstream parties have said they would not form a coalition government with the AfD. So they will be present. They will get public financing. They will be able to hire, have infrastructure with offices. In fact, they're already present in 13 of the state legislatures in Germany, but now they'll be present on a national level. So I believe the AfD is going to be here a force to reckon with, to stay in the German political landscape. What is crucial is that they could actually be the strongest opposition party in the German Bundestag if there is a repeat of the Grand Coalition. This would allow them to chair the powerful committee of the Budget Committee, for example, and also get, you know, they'll still also have chairmanships of a couple other committees, and they'll also get the first priority to speak first. So they would be able to rebut the government on the floor of the parliament.
So that if Angela Merkel wins, it seems that there won't be that much change in terms of composition. It's a kind of like, you know, center government, you know, depending on what coalition she does. But there are a number of challenges. I know they're smaller, but Germany needs to focus, for example, on falling behind in areas such as broadband, on education. Do we know what her priorities will be?
So there's probably two constellations that would emerge after Sunday. As I mentioned, either a repeat of the Grand Coalition with the center-left SPD, or a three-way party constellation of the CDU-CSU, that conservative bloc, with the Greens and with the FDP. And this will be a very unwieldy coalition, no doubt, very difficult to manage. But there could also be opportunities for real change and visionary leadership. As you mentioned, Angela Merkel may have to now think about doing things for her country, like investing in infrastructure, investing in education, and embracing digitization.
What does Angela Merkel want with the European Union? We have an exceptionally important speech, Sudha, in Florence, Italy today. No doubt Chancellor Merkel will be watching that. What does the Chancellor want from Prime Minister May and Europe at Florence this Friday?
I think the Germans are in a delicate position. They don't want to be seen as the dictator of Europe, dictating EU policy. They really want to do this jointly with partners. They are embedded in the European Union, and they think they want to see a revival of the Franco-German relationship. And I do believe they want a amicable split with Great Britain. They want to make this as they want to lessen the pain as much as possible. So I do believe they're going to want to have a smooth transition if the Brits, in fact, are adamant about the Brexit.